Okay, we're live. I'm doing my video live today because I just tried to record my video of the day with this camera, and it keeps saying the card is full, and then it just keeps shutting off mid-recording. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to do my video of the day live. I have my notes right here. So again, what I'm going to discuss in just a minute is the 7 must-have elements for your blog or your article templates for SEO success. To set a little bit of context here where there's a few people joining, I've dealt with like 4 or 5 or 6 sites in the last 6 to 8 months. Hey, Washington, how's it going? That were hit with quality updates. And they lost traffic because of bad UX, bad architecture, lack of these things that you need to have. On the flip side, I've been helping clients for a long time now with content, but some clients, especially in the last, I want to say 6 to 8 to 12 months, have really seen some great traffic gains from utilizing these elements that I'm going to talk about in just one moment. Again, if you're just joining, I've only got like 10 minutes. My camera was broken, so I'm doing my video of the day live today. I'm going to post this probably to YouTube a little bit later on, and you can also see all the videos I've been doing at Evolving SEO on YouTube. All right, I'm going to get into these 7 elements because I've only got 10 minutes. So here we go. Number 1, from your blog pages, like the actual article, you need to be linking to well-structured categories, meaning that take like an inventory of all your content and make sure that you have strategically, intelligently, on purpose come up with 5 to 7 to maybe 10 top-level blog categories that really unify all your content together. Google is very good about picking up how all of the topics on your site relate together. And if you have a lot of topics, let's say on A/B testing, if you do conversion rate optimization, Google's going to see that catalog of content all topically linked together. And so number 1, those categories are going to kind of glue that content together by topic. But number 2, when you have categories and you're linking to your categories from every blog article, that makes every other blog article 2 clicks away. It makes every blog category 1 click away. And that's going to really tighten up your site architecture. So make sure to take an inventory of all of your content, come up with great blog categories, 5 to 7 to 10 top levels. You can do nested categories. Make sure you're linking to all those categories either from the top nav, from the sidebar, or from the footer, or maybe a drop down. Just make sure you're linking to those. Number 2, the second most important element, these are really not in order, by the way, that's just how I wrote them in my notes. The second most important element of the blog post template is going to be linking to related posts. Now you can do this in a number of ways, but one common way is at the bottom, the very bottom of your article. You can use a plugin or you can do it manually in some cases. Make sure that you're helping guide the user to like what they might want to read next. You know, if I land on a post that's how to iron a shirt, maybe the next thing I want to know is like how to match my clothing or like how to properly care for my shirt otherwise, right? So like you're trying to guide the user through their journey of whatever it is they're trying to learn. So make sure you're linking to related content as well. Number 3, use comments. I know a lot of people lately have gotten rid of blog comments. They find them annoying, they find it hard to keep up with spam, etc. There's some happy mediums here. Number 1, the reason why I recommend comments and I love blog comments is from an SEO standpoint. Google has said in many cases blog comments are a sign of content quality because it's a sign of user-generated content and community and etc. So the bottom line is having blog comments, receiving comments that are real, that are positive, they're not just spam, that's going to help your SEO. That actually is a ranking signal. It's a component of their content quality ranking signal. So utilize blog comments. But number 2 is if you're having trouble keeping up, if you have a large site, it gets a lot of spam, just have them automatically shut off after a week or after 2 weeks, after 3 weeks. Find that time period that works, but you should find a way to use comments strategically to encourage that community, get that user-generated content, and there's so many other benefits. If you're watching this later on YouTube, I'm going to link to an article where I talk very in depth about comments. Number 4, utilize breadcrumbs. A very common thing, but I see so many sites even now that aren't utilizing breadcrumbs. It can be quite simple to turn breadcrumbs on with the Yoast SEO plugin, or maybe if you're in a platform like Squarespace. They offer a great architecture feature for your users and for Google. When they land on the page, it's quite obvious where they are within the architecture. It can be very simple to turn those on. Number 5, utilize a last updated date of when the blog post was published on the post and display that to users. So there's 2 components to date that are very important. You might hear a lot of people lately, by the way, if you're watching, if you're one of the 10 or so people watching, if you have a question or comment about any of these elements that I'm talking about, leave it in the chat. I will see it. I'm staring right at the screen right there and checking the time. I have about 5 minutes left. Utilize the last updated date, display that to the user. In WordPress, you can do a very simple code modification. But then the second trick to this, I've done this with many sites now, use article schema and on purpose leave out the original publish date in the schema and instead use the last updated date in the article schema, wrap that around the last updated that you're displaying to user, and then that to users, plural, and then in search results, the users are going to see the most recent date. That's going to help click-through rate, that's going to help the appearance of freshness, that's going to show Google and users that you are maintaining and updating your content. So, meaning you want to have a strategy as well, or a process where you are actually going back to your old content and updating it. Number 6, definitely utilize an author name and photo at the top of the post. If you look at any of Google's quality raters guidelines, these are the guidelines where they have actual human beings rate they rate the search results based upon quality. They all instruct the content quality people to be looking for signs of who is responsible for the content, especially in industries that are so-called your money or your life, finance or health or anything that can affect your life directly. And by showing a photo, a real photo of the actual author that wrote that article and their name, and then have their name be clickable to get to their author bio, their author profile, that's going to show users a huge element of trust. I've reviewed many sites lately, the ones that were hit with content quality updates. They lacked this feature, they lacked breadcrumbs, they lacked comments, they lacked categories, they had a lot of issues wrong. And by simply showing a human face, a human being, who is responsible for that content on the article, you're instantly sending a signal of trust and of authority to the user, and Google sees these things as well, whether directly by algorithmically looking at the page or indirectly with user metrics and the quality raters. And number 7 is just a couple don'ts. Here's some things that you don't want to do on your blog article page templates because they're going to cause problems. These were, every site I looked at that was hit with a content quality update had these issues with them. Number 1, or I should say part 1 of 7, I don't know, that doesn't matter, is having like big phone call. Sorry for the pause there. Somebody was trying to call. I declined it. I'm sorry if you were trying to call me. I hit decline. Anyways, the number 1 don't is don't put big, useless, stock photo even like images at the top of your blog post that push down the content. Google is looking at the layout of your page. Users are landing on the page and they're looking for the immediate answer to their question. Many of the sites that I looked at that were hit, they were trying to do the right thing. They were trying to have creative, unique imagery at the top, but it wasn't serving the content. Oftentimes, I'm sure you've seen, like you land on a post and there's a random picture of like a stapler on a desk, or like a child, or like a random picture of money, and it has nothing to do with the post. Maybe there's some loose connection. But those images, like, really question those, really question if they're adding to the value of the content. I often just ask myself, are they like making the user curious and wanting to stick on that page? Are they adding that value? A little pro tip with this, a few of the sites that I saw were hit, their top images were actually linked via CSS, not image attributes. So make sure to check your code, your WordPress or your backend code. Make sure that your images on the page, your actual image reference links, not CSS background images. I've seen Google maybe mistake that for ad space, or like they're not sure what's there. So just make sure you're actually linking to that as an image source. And the number 2 don't for your content, every site that I saw that was hit with content quality problems had this don't. They were putting calls to actions that were breaking up the content, that were disruptive to the flow of the content, or that was on the sidebar of the content that was more distracting, more prominent than the actual content. Basically, when it comes down to it, they were caring more about what they wanted the user to do when they landed on the page, not what's best for the user. They were trying to get a random call to action to sign up for an email newsletter or a course or to buy a product or go to this affiliate link that had nothing to do with like what the user was trying to accomplish by landing on that piece of content. Now, I'm not saying you can't have pop-ups or calls to actions or try to get people to convert, but do it in a native way. Do it in a way where you're trying to natively customize, integrate that within the content in a way that is natural, that it fits with the flow, that the user would actually be happy to click on that link. Like if you're talking about fashion tips, right? And you have like some product that helps people with fashion, natively put that in a spot where the user would be grateful to kind of click on that and then learn further what that thing is you're trying to get them to do. So that's the biggest thing, the biggest don't, is really make sure you're not breaking up your content. The other problem that I've seen on 2 or 3 sites was, believe it or not, they had the article and then the article ended and then they had comments, but in between the article and the comments, there were calls to action. They were like random links to related posts or to like sign up for a newsletter or to ads. I had a sense that Google was considering the content and the comments all supposed to be connected as the content. All of that's the content. And they were breaking that up in the template by like having the article and then disrupting that with calls to actions, often big ones, and then the comments were way below that. So think about the comments as actually part of your content and make that UX and design-wise much closer together. That's not only going to keep you safe from Google, but it's really going to help get users to actually comment. Like how many sites have you landed on and it takes you forever to realize that there's even blog comments there. They're almost invisible half the time. So those are my 7 must-have elements for blog post pages. That's a mouthful. For SEO success, if you're watching this live, thanks so much. I've got to hop off for a client phone call, but I'm also going to be linking this video into my YouTube channel, Evolving SEO on YouTube. Appreciate everyone for stopping in. There were about like 9 to like 11 or 15 people at one point, so I appreciate that. If you are finding me on Periscope and you don't know who I am, you can go to Dan_SHURE on Twitter and follow me there. All right, I'm signing off for now. Thanks, everyone.